Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Hey, this is Joe, No Picks Podcast.
Hey, what up, family? It's Todd checking in.
So we coming back with another reaction video to some local news. We thought this one was interesting, so we're gonna let it rock out. We're gonna hear the story a little bit, and we're gonna talk. And Ty, I'm curious to see what your perspective would be. All right, so we're gonna let it rock. So here we go.
A local father is facing charges tonight after police say he walked into his daughter's high school confronting a student that he believes had been bothering her. Our Greg Payne joining us live now from Paulsboro High School. And Greg, you've been talking with parents and students, and I also understand you have the video showing this altercation.
Yes, we do, Sheba. And I mean, this situation has been the talk of the town, especially since it was all caught on camera. Now, despite the recording, there are still a lot of questions remaining on how this happened and why it happened.
I was surprised. I thought it could have definitely been handled differently.
Nyrelle Thompson is a student at Paulsboro High School. She says all day her classmates have been talking about this video that has been circulating around social media and was sent to Fox 29 News. It shows a parent on Monday who was supposed to be picking up his child entering into a classroom at the high school and immediately confronting a student.
I didn't know to it.
The criminal complaint identifies the parent as Aaron Thomas of Gibbstown. The video goes on to show Thomas going back and forth with a student, who Thomas is heard in the video saying was allegedly bothering his daughter. Moments later, it appears that an adult tries to intervene and calm the situation down, when things quickly escalated again, with Thomas then beginning to argue with another student in the classroom.
I think it should have been handled parent to parent instead of student or outside of the school.
Thomas is being charged with several offenses, which include entering in an unauthorized section of the school, threatening to punch and knock out a student, and also committing assault, specifically by grabbing the student's arm and getting in his face.
We've been talking about it, and I've been telling my kids that if it was my son or my daughter, I would have went to the principal and handled it like that, and then I would have talked to my kids.
The Paulsboro
I ain't gonna pause that. All right, so I was curious. Yeah. All right, so Tyrese, I got a question for you, bro. If somebody was bullying your child at school, would you pull up to the school and confront that bully?
No, I haven't seen that. Now, with my sons, I think absolutely not. Right? I'm not going to, because with boys, boys have to figure out their own path.
Okay.
Right? They gotta take their lumps. They gotta take their L's. They gotta like it's part of the male experience. And that's not something that women can understand. But it's part of the male experience. I've taken my lumps, I've taken my L's. You grow from it. And you realize, like, okay, cool, like this is what I do moving forward. Now, my answer is different for my daughter.
Oh, yeah, is there a double standard?
Yeah, it is a double standard. So if a girl is bullying my daughter, that's not I'm not getting involved in that world. Like my daughter, I would talk to her every day. I would say, hey, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that. But that's not a world I can relate to.
Yeah.
But if a boy is bullying my daughter, like it seems like was the case in this situation, then I would do something. I wouldn't do what he did, but like the other guy said, I would probably go to go to school, go to the administrators. Hey, this kid is bullying my daughter. Try to get in touch with the parent or whatever, and handle it from there. But I wouldn't go to him. I understand his frustration.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my little girl. This is my baby girl. Yeah. So you're not going to be doing X, Y, and Z. But it's still a kid's world, bro. And you got to kind of understand that outside of something like extreme, then you can't jump into their world.
That makes sense. You definitely made me reconsider my position a little bit that I haven't expressed yet. But that definitely makes sense. I think that's reasonable. I was gonna say like my response changes depending on the context. Like if this was like maybe the first time or first couple times the kids are just going back and forth. You know how we are in high school, bro. We roast, we grind,
Right.
we talk our mess. That's just what we do in high school. If it was like the first few times, then yeah, like you draw on dad, like you do like a clown. Like these are just kids just talking
Yeah.
and doing what kids do. Let them be kids. Let them sort it out, like you said.
Yeah.
However, if this was like a repeated thing where like the daughter's been telling the teacher, telling somebody in the school, like telling the dad, and this is like a repeated offense, and she's just like, I can't. This kid keeps messing with me. Like I don't know. You know, if I didn't call the school and tell them, can you talk to this student? Like my daughter feels uncomfortable. Like if it gets to that point, I could see why a parent would walk up because sometimes I feel like these kids, like bullying is still a big issue, bro. Like kids
Yeah.
commit suicide, you know, and
Yeah.
you know, kids sometimes kids take it so far they commit suicide
Yeah.
either because of cyberbullying or it starts in school but then goes to Facebook or goes
Right.
to the gram, whatever they
Right.
use now.
Yeah.
But like if it's like that, then I can understand a parent coming up because I don't feel like the schools don't do nothing about the real bullying. They talk a big talk, but do you really think schools are good with bullying, bro?
I don't think they can be good, bro. Like, cause like
Mm,
there's a kid world and there's an adult world. So
right.
like, because you were a kid before, so it's
Yeah.
like we behave as a kid. You behave differently when the teachers are around when they're watching you and shit. And
Mhm.
when they leave and all the kids know, there's a whole different scenario. And then
Right.
you see where it is. But I think that's a good thing. I think children
Mhm.
understand how to maneuver in life because it translates into adult life. I've seen
Right.
adult people that can't figure out their way around adult bullying because adults bully.
Yeah. Yeah, adults. Yeah, they definitely. If you were
Adults
bullied at
bully,
a young
or
age,
they
you probably
try
would still be
to.
one. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And there's like a fine line that you got to walk. Like, okay, cool. I'm at my job. I'm at my office job. This person says something slick to me. They're trying to get me to do their work. Whatever.
Mhm.
There's a calculation. There's a way that you got to maneuver around it. But you
Right.
learn those tactics from being a kid,
Okay.
from
All
being on
right.
the playground and being like,
And
okay,
that
cool.
makes sense.
So if you got somebody that's always jumping in and saving you, you never learn those techniques. Again,
Okay.
I can't speak for women, but for guys, it takes lumps. It takes you stumble along the way, but
Yeah.
eventually, you know what I mean. You become who you are. And
Yeah.
again, speaking for myself, I can't speak for you, but speaking for myself, bro, I took my lumps. I can
Yeah. I
remember
took
in my
some
head
lumps.
how many L's I took in a fight, and people laughing at me and all this and that.
I took some lumps
But
too. Yeah.
the next situation, I'm like, I learned from that, and I know how to move.
Yeah.
So at a certain
Okay.
point, it was like, okay, people again, like in high school, I took L's, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th grade. Niggas like, okay, I'm gonna leave this nigga alone because listen, like I've never
Yeah.
been a bully, but I'm like niggas knew at that time not to fuck with me.
Right. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
because I took L's along the way, and then when I took those L's, I asked people that were close to me, and I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
what should I do? How should I move in this situation? I took an L in a fight when I was ninth grade. In ninth grade, it was really, really embarrassing. I go to my cousin. I'm like, yo, listen, what do? I don't know if said this on the pod, but he was like, listen, this is what you do. You go to school the next day, black eye and everything. He was like, yo, the first person that says something to you, you fight them. The first person that make a little joke or a little snide remark, fight them.
I remember. Yeah.
And it was like, then it was like people were just like, all right, you know what? I don't want a problem. Like he's gonna fight me, so
Right.
I don't want a problem. So whether he loses or he wins, and I don't claim to be Floyd Mayweather, right? But it's
Yeah.
like he understood that like people will rather not have confrontation. Now, if I didn't have him in my life,
Right.
and people made fun of me, and I just kind of looked the other way, then people would have kept making fun of me. I would have been 19, I would have been 18, I would have been 17, and people would have been clowning me. But guess what? That shit stopped at a certain point because people was like, bro, we don't like. It's not worth the juice ain't worth the squeeze.
Yeah.
Because I'm fighting. I got like, my cousin put a battery on my back, so I'm like, okay, well, listen, I got no problem. I'm fighting. You could be 6'5" on a basketball team, about to go to the league. We fighting, and you're gonna have to deal with me. But that's how you deal with it as a kid. You got to take your lumps. I get it. It's embarrassing as a kid and all that stuff because I've experienced it, and I'm gonna tell my sons the same thing. However, my daughter will be different. I'm going. I'm going to say, hey, honey, what's going on? If I feel like the stuff is a little bit too much.
Yeah.
If the school would have said, if he would have showed up at the school, they would have done their due diligence to make sure his daughter was okay. Because if you got a parent showing up at the school, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, cool. We don't want
Right.
he especially a man. They're gonna be like,
Yeah.
listen, this nigga's active. I don't
Right.
want no trouble with this dude. So they're gonna look out for his
Right.
daughter.
And that's why it's weird too. That's why I feel like he just showed up after like he didn't really do it. He didn't call up. Like there's no context, right? But for you to pop up in that school, it only seems rational if you've been trying to tell them to address this issue and they haven't. But like to
Right.
just pop up over because your daughter got her feelings hurt, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's wow. And I'll make this point. It's interesting because I know like even just like adults, but I feel like naturally some people are like there's fight or flight, right? Naturally, I feel like most people will try to run away from an issue or just don't or just are really uncomfortable with confrontation. And then there's some people who are just more disagreeable, who don't shy away from physical confrontation, who are a little more violent. The people who grew up slap boxing and wrestling and like just rough, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
so there are people who just naturally just love to fight and will do it and they don't care. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think in those
I
cases
agree.
like it's interesting too because like what do you tell your child if your child just ain't a fighter? Not that way, maybe in different ways, but if your child ain't got it in them, what you going what do you do, you know what I mean? Like in situations like that's when a parent kicks in and I'm like, what would I do, especially if somebody's like physically threatening my child? Like
Yeah.
I'd have to be like, bro, we're gonna put you in a boxing class, we're gonna put you in something because this either you change or I'm gonna have to put you in something to help you change, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But unless it's excessive, yeah, I was curious to see what you would be like. Like, I'd be up in the school. No, F that. Like, damn. But then you start
Yeah.
talking, I'm like, damn, he's making sense. All right. I was waiting for the ratchet to come out. When Bruh came out and he was very sensible. He even changed my mind a little bit because I was like, hell yeah, I'm about to pull up in this dance school. But I'm like, damn, you're right. Let kids be kids. Let them sort it out.
Right.
But schools do be drawn with the bullying issue, though. I really,
Yeah, but I get it. They put an emphasis on stopping the bullying, but you can
yeah.
only stop it so much. Like it's not the world's not going to change. People have
Mhm.
been bullied since the dawn of man. I'm sorry to like I'm sorry, bro, like, but bullies will always exist.
And that's
And
true.
it just
It's
is what
true.
it is.
It's true. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, then listen, we can open it up because you've shared your perspective, and thank you for sharing that. This was interesting. Now you made me change my mind, so I definitely like. All right, I'm glad you walked me through this because I was hyped. I was like, no, left that. Don't mess with my baby girl. Family, what y'all think? Do y'all think that we need more context, of course, but just given a clip like what would it take for you to pull up to the school and confront somebody's bully? Is there a context where you feel like you would pull up to the school and actually do that and confront the student just like that? Have you had that experience? How do you think schools are dealing with bullying? Do you think it's still a big issue? Is it being, you know what I mean? Like anything about the topic, let us know. We're definitely curious about it. This was an interesting clip. Ty, do you have any final thoughts for the family, for the community?
Nah.
All right, y'all. Listen, we active. We on the move. Like, subscribe, share, get us in the algorithm. And until next time, y'all be safe.